Okay, guys, my phone actually doesn't have a lot of battery left, but I need to quickly try and do this. Um, I just got a download that won't wait, and I need to do this while I'm in the inspiration here because I'm not going to be able to articulate this as well as I would like. So I'm gonna have to trust you guys to get the energy of this, right? You're gonna get the energy and you'll unpack the package yourself, right? This is like a little gift being left at your door, and you're going to open it yourself and find out what's inside. So, this is a message for the group of souls that, this is us. This is about us. Who are we? We are a loosely loosely knit group of old soul star seeds, some of whom are from outside of this universe, very abstract, very broad beings. We all have different kinds of origins and different soul histories, but we are knit together by a constellation of experiences, right? That gives us this network of resonance. So, it's us. It's all of you who tune into my videos and generally resonate on this frequency close enough. The energy here is about the best analogy I can give you here is about some old Buddhist programming. This whole message isn't just about this old Buddhist programming, but this is a good place to start the conversation. It's actually what clicked me into this. So, as you may know, there's this idea in Buddhism that we are on the wheel of rebirth, and we're just constantly kind of trapped here, being reborn, 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 reborn. And the goal of enlightenment is to actually get off the wheel, to stop being reborn. And it is a kind of interesting thing about Buddhism, and I love a lot about Buddhist philosophy. It is so inspiring to me. But this this is a little funny quirk, I think. There's this theme that existence itself is undesirable, and because we keep being reborn, and there's suffering, and there's unsatisfactoriness, and there's dullness, and we're just trying over and over and over and over again to become enlightened so that we can stop being reborn, so that we can escape the cycle of samsara, right? And so one way of looking at this is that is a piece of old programming that we're coming up to kind of transcend or to clear, or we're moving beyond that. Because, and this is interesting because if you look at Starseed circles and conversations online, you will see how, some people are really into the idea that we're trying to leave, right? We're trying to get off this planet. We don't want to be here. We want to get out of this dimension. We want to go somewhere else, and we want to be done with this, right? We want it to be over. We're trying to conclude this experience so that we can stop having it, right? Looking for like cessation. And as you might notice from this line of thinking, there's all kinds of, you can think of a whole bunch of other similar lines of thought, right? This is actually like it's bigger than Buddhism. It's bigger than what people are saying on the internet. There's a way bigger architecture of thought going on here, and honestly, I would almost boil it down to nihilism, right? It's like nihilism. This is also what somebody experiences when they are suicidal, right? They want to stop existing. They just want to stop existing. I just want to not be alive anymore, right? That feeling of just let me get out of this, right? And it's nihilism is the best word I could come up with here. And it is time for us to get past this, because And it's not wrong that we might have these feelings sometimes, and it's not like this system of thought is not wrong exactly, but it is limiting and it is outdated, and there's a lot more to be experienced here. And in order for all of us to move on to the next phase of our lives, to grow and evolve and ascend, if you will, it's actually, we got to get beyond this idea of cessation or nihilism or, escaping this reality, right? This is an old piece of programming that it's time for an update, right? It is time for an update. And some of you might actually be surprised to know that not everybody thinks like this. There are all kinds of people out there who aren't trying to just be done with this experience and get on to something better, right? That's not a thought that everybody is having. It is a thought that many of us either have had in the past or perhaps are having right now. And I can definitely tell you, especially if you're, I'm talking to a group of starseeds here. When I first had my starseed awakening, I had an absolute deep bone horror of being stuck on this planet. I was just like, oh my God, when I finally die, am I going to have to come back to Earth? Am I stuck here still having more incarnations of on Earth? And I just, oh my God, it the horror and the terror in the pit of my stomach about having to face a bunch more incarnations on planet Earth as a human was an unspeakable horror to me. That's really funny to me now because I don't think about that at all anymore. Now I think about how excited I am, and I have a plan for what I'm going to be doing on Earth 2,000 years from now. When I'm back and back and back and back, and it's getting really exciting, and things are just getting going here, right? So now it's very exciting. So I will say, if you're in that place of truly you don't want to come, you want this to be your last life on Earth, you don't want to come back. I mean, everybody is unique. Your soul path is unique. It is possible that someone might finish their life here and then never come back to Earth. That is possible. That is what your soul might choose on a higher level. But for the most part, I would say that is actually a symptom of something that's yet to heal, right? It's a symptom of old programming. It's a symptom of some kind of wound that has yet to heal. And that's what we're moving through here. It's a lot of this, and because here's something else. Okay, so I've been doing private readings for 5 years now, and one of the most common themes that comes up is that this is a lifetime where you are wrapping up. I just saw 8-8, by the way, very interesting. And look, we have these kind of look like 8s, 888. Anyway, one of these common themes is that in this lifetime, you are essentially wrapping up and resolving and completing this enormous soul cycle. Reviewing all of your past lives. And for some of you, we're talking past lives, the whole constellation of your entire soul's experience, which could, we could be talking about billions of years, right? You could be billions of years old in this galaxy. Your soul could have been experiencing this galaxy for billions of years. You could be counting your soul's journey in this galaxy by galactic revolutions, by the amount of time it takes for the galaxy to revolve once, like a galactic year. It's a galactic revolution. And not to mention everything that you have experienced in higher dimensions, higher realms, higher densities, and even outside of this universe. And this life in particular is this wrap-up life where in this lifetime, as in before you die, right? Before you die, reviewing it all, bringing it all together, and then somehow making sense of it all, tying it all up, coming to some kind of conclusion, coming to some kind of climax resolution, and then bam, beginning again. This kind of soul rebirth, right? This soul rebirth. And as you are going through this process, there can be a lot of, especially when you're very nearing the end of it, what people call the dark night of the soul. It can be a lot of being stuck in the past, thinking about the past, kind of licking your wounds and trying to heal, and then trying to create change, create change, but be feeling stuck, and just feeling bogged down and right? A lot of this, there can be a lot of this, and because that is, it's like the last gasp, right? It's like Sam and Frodo climbing up the mountain, like climbing up Mount Doom, right? It's the last gasp. They're just trying to get to the top. And it's funny, all day I've been seeing the Dark Tower crumbling, like that imagery from the end of The Lord of the Rings. So, oh my goodness. So, all of that is just part of this process. And again, it might be interesting to note that so many people aren't experiencing that. But it's very interesting to me personally, because I kind of work in this bubble where I do all these readings and I talk to all these people who were all having this shared experience. The most people who watch my YouTube videos and most people, we're talking like 90% of people who get private readings from me, all fall into this kind of common experience. All very, very different people with very, very different soul backgrounds, but this common experience of like, this is the pattern, okay? This is what we're all working on. And it's very interesting. I think we've all come together in this network, in this web work, because even though we don't know each other, even though we don't meet, and even though I have been fortunate enough to be able to connect with many of you, most of you don't know each other, but you're kind of, this is very interesting for me to think, is you're actually energetically connecting through me. All of you who are listening to this, you're connecting with each other, and I'm kind of like the hub here. So we're all going through this together, and we're all assisting each other and helping each other, coming into this like soul rebirth. And it's like your soul literally being reborn. And there's something here about passing through the iris. I know that's imagery that's come up before. It's essentially your soul like moving through the keyhole, moving through the iris, or like threading the needle. It's like moving through this portal where you go to be reborn. And then on the other side, you're brand new. But I don't just mean like brand new in kind of the everyday sense. I mean, you've literally completed the most enormous imaginable soul cycle. And what's more, you're doing it while you're alive, and you're doing it while you're a human. You're not doing it like after you transition and you're not in a body anymore, and then things are a lot easier. You're doing it while you're a human. And this is absolutely crazy and rather fantastical and mind-blowing, and no wonder it's so fucking hard sometimes. But it's like important that as we go through this process of like rebirthing our souls, and like there can be a lot of ego death with this, right? Because to be reborn and clear out all of your past lives, like some people, if you really think a lot about karma, you could think about this as becoming karma clear, like clearing all of your karma and like starting brand new as a clean slate. But the interesting thing about beginning this way while you're doing this and while you're in your human body is that you're not necessarily going to forget everything that happened, because this is interesting. So I am aware of some souls that they read like new souls, okay? They read like new souls. When I read their energy, they seem like a brand new soul, brand new to earth, first lifetime, first incarnation, like brand new soul, blank slate, right? And yet they're not really. They are and they aren't, right? Some of these souls, and by the way, the souls I'm describing here, some of you, they might be these. Sorry, I'm really stumbling over my words here. Thank you for bearing with me. The souls I'm describing here, for some of you, this could apply to your children or to one of your children. Okay, if that was like a question you've been asking and this is clicking and resonating, obviously some of you will have all kinds of different children, right? But for somebody, this could be applying to your children. So some of these souls, they read like they're brand new, but they also have this kind of ancient aura around them. And it's because they have already done this. They have already done what we are doing right now. They were these old souls with all of this ancient soul history and complexity and cultivation, but they already cleared themselves out and they dissolved themselves and they returned to unity consciousness, and then they were reborn. right? The ego death of dissolving yourself into unity consciousness and being reborn. And then these souls, then they come to earth and they vibe like brand new souls, and they don't have any connection to any of their past lives. They don't remember them. They don't have any sense of having been here before, right? They're like completely clean and clear and a blank slate. And yet there is this subtle sense that, what I've just described, they were this ancient old soul that dissolved and cleared itself and was reborn brand new. And now they're like a brand new soul. So that is very, very interesting. But I think for the most part, those souls, they kind of clear themselves out when they're not in their human bodies. And so they come back and they're like completely fresh. Us here, though, we are doing this while we are embodied. So, I mean, the way you experience this could be, you could have all kinds of different ways of experiencing this. I'm not even going to mention some of the possibilities of how you could experience this, because it will be completely unique for everyone. But I will say that there is a lot of potential to almost like not notice it, because you could definitely still have all of your memories and all of your connections to all of your past lives, and still have all of that awareness of your past and the awareness of your soul's history and everything that came before. While simultaneously being brand new. And that actually, so this is like a dual thing going on, because then you are both. You are the ancient, cultivated, complex old soul that you are, multidimensional old soul that you are, and then you are also a brand new, shiny, squeaky clean soul that was just born today, right? You can be both of those things at once, and doing that while you are embodied. And along with this, it's going to come like an extinction of this nihilism, right? There has to be some kind of sense here that something is better than nothing, right? Why is there something rather than nothing? Why is there something rather than nothing? There is something rather than nothing because if there weren't something, then there would only be nothing. You following me? We have to make something. We have to be something, because otherwise there's just nothing. And we can look at these as being purely neutral. Is something better than nothing? No. I mean, this is a very complex philosophical argument, but I will just fall back on my basic kind of worldview here, that all of these kind of claims are neutral, right? So something isn't necessarily better than nothing. But you know what this is complex. I feel like when you spend a lot of time in the nothingness, when you spend a lot of time in the nihilism, when you spend a lot of time isolating and avoiding things, eventually, like, you can get really obsessed with emptiness and really obsessed with nothingness, and even like really obsessed and addicted to it, or even obsessed and addicted to neutrality itself, right? All of this, eventually, when you swirl around in the whirlpool of nihilism long enough, and I mean this both cosmically, spiritually, philosophically, and in the terms of your human life, with how you might sometimes isolate yourself, withdraw yourself, avoid things, like avoiding politics, avoiding associating with people, avoiding work, avoiding self-care, like all of the things that you might avoid sometimes in your life, when you're really just feeling like you need to be in the timeout, checkout phase, right? Eventually that does run its course, and like naturally something arises from that. Something arises from nothing. Something coalesces out of nothing, right? And then you become something. And this, to my mind, is how souls coalesce out of the void. We coalesce out of the void because if souls don't arise out of the void, then there's just nothing. If there's nothing, then there's also going to be something. It's, I don't have a like a perfect explanation for you, but that is my sense of it. And so this same process needs to be happening in your life, where you no longer want to avoid humans. You no longer want to avoid Earth. You no longer want to avoid all of the things that you might be avoiding or have avoided at some point in the past. And at some point you become ready. You become ready to be, and you become ready to act, and you become ready to live, and you become ready to work and to do and to go out into the world and to contribute and to be and like you're reactivated, right? You're reactivated. What that looks like for you is going to be unique for everybody, but it's you're reactivating yourself out of the nothingness, right? It is like a rejection of nihilism and a rejection of avoidance and isolation, and even a rejection of I had a thought, but now it's gone. So let me flip these cards. Okay, breathe. Yes. Breathe, right? Don't suffocate. Breathe. All that glitters. This is telling you that something you thought was great, maybe it's not that great, right? Maybe it's not that great. Maybe it was great for a while. Maybe it was great for a long time, but maybe it's just not anymore, right? And this is that sense of being over here, being in the whirlpool, being in the nihilism, the isolation, the avoidance, right? Maybe that seemed really good for a long time. Maybe around the time you get this video, you're going to feel like it's not, right? You're going to feel like, oh, I'm ready to re-enter the world. I'm ready to become again, right? And I would even say that swirling around in the whirlpool of confusion itself is one of these nihilistic states. Confusion itself is one of these nihilistic states. So for some of you, this could be playing out in terms of literally just feeling a lot of confusion, swirling around in the whirlpool of confusion. That is one of these like negative nihilistic type of experiences. So that becomes choosing clarity, right? Choosing clarity, not waiting for clarity, choosing clarity, allowing clarity, creating clarity, right? So anyway, something is no longer as good as it used to seem. And here you have the observer state. So look at these two cards here. How meditative and mindful is this? Breathing. Because in this state of breathing, she's not, here she is sitting on her lily pad. This is not a nihilistic state. This is a highly active, highly aware, highly electric state. She is sitting there and she is breathing vibrantly, and she is exquisitely aware of her breath, of the wind on her face, of the ripples in the water, of the fireflies around her, right? She's exquisitely aware. Sitting in stillness, in breathing, can be, when done with exquisite mindfulness, this is a profoundly active and activated state of being. And the observer state is what allows you to be, like, these are inextricably linked. In fact, you would almost say that this is kind of the feminine, sitting on your lotus pad, breathing, that's almost the feminine manifestation of this energy. And the observer here, with the telescope and just observing objectively observing what is, just watching, just being aware of what is. That would be the masculine, like, right? And here you have these woven together, yin and yang. I said 23, so 5. Interesting. And this reminds me of a message from the other day. It was a very simple message, but it felt very profound to me. And the message was just the spirit of awareness. The spirit of awareness. The spirit of awareness. So I'm not going to unpack that. I'm going to leave you with the phrase, the spirit of awareness. And that is the end of this particular message. I'm sending you guys so much love and light, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.